Let me ask you something. Right now, in this very moment, are you living the life you truly want? Or are you spending your days distracted, scattered, chasing things that don't really matter while your biggest dreams sit waiting in the distance? Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never admit. You're losing because you're not focused on yourself. You're focused on everyone else, their opinions, their timelines, their definitions of success. And while you're busy looking sideways at what everyone else is doing, your own potential is quietly slipping away. This audiobook isn't about selfish ambition. It's not about ignoring the world or abandoning the people you love. This is about something far more important. This is about reclaiming your life. This is about redirecting all that energy you've been giving away and pouring it back into the one person who will determine your entire future: you. Over the next hour, you're going to learn a system, a mindset, a way of living that transforms ordinary people into winners. You'll discover why the most successful people in the world all share one critical trait. They made themselves their number one priority until they won. Not in a selfish way, but in a strategic way, in a powerful way. You'll learn how to cut through the noise, eliminate distractions, and build unwavering focus. You'll understand why comparing yourself to others is killing your progress and how to finally break free from that trap. You'll master the art of investing in yourself, protecting your energy, and staying committed when everything around you says to quit. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand these principles. You'll feel different. You'll see yourself differently. And most importantly, you'll be ready to finally put yourself first until you achieve the success you deserve. So let's begin. Let's talk about what it really means to focus on yourself until you win. Chapter 1: The Distraction Epidemic. We live in the most distracted era in human history. Think about it. When was the last time you spent an entire day focused on just one important thing? When was the last time you went even 1 hour without checking your phone, scrolling through social media, or getting pulled into someone else's drama? The average person checks their phone over 150 times per day. 150 times. Every notification, every message, every post is pulling your attention away from what truly matters. And here's what nobody tells you. Every distraction is stealing from your future. Let me explain something crucial. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Not your time, not your money, your attention. Because where your attention goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your results grow. Right now, your attention is being hijacked by 1,000 different things. Your friend's relationship drama, that celebrity scandal, the news cycle that never ends, other people's achievements making you feel inadequate, random videos that somehow consume an hour of your evening. And while you're distracted, while you're scattered, while you're giving your precious attention to things that don't matter, someone else is focused. Someone else is working on themselves. Someone else is building, creating, growing, winning. The people who succeed aren't smarter than you. They're not more talented. They're not luckier. They're simply more focused. They've learned to protect their attention like it's gold, because it is gold. Think about the most successful person you can imagine. Do you think they spend their days scrolling mindlessly? Do you think they're obsessed with what other people think about them? Do you think they're constantly reacting to every little thing happening around them? No, they're focused on themselves, their goals, their growth, their vision. And that singular focus creates extraordinary results. Here's what I need you to understand. You cannot win while you're distracted. You cannot build an extraordinary life with scattered attention.
It's impossible. It's like trying to start a fire by spreading your kindling across an entire field. You need to gather it together, concentrate it, focus it. So here's your first mission. Starting today, you're going to become aware of where your attention is going. Every time you pick up your phone, ask yourself, is this moving me closer to my goals? Every time you're about to engage in gossip or drama, ask, is this focused on me winning, or am I just being distracted? Create boundaries around your attention. Turn off notifications. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate. Say no to conversations that drain your energy without adding value. Guard your focus like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. The distraction epidemic is real, but you don't have to be a victim of it. You can choose differently. You can choose focus. And when you do, everything changes.
Let's talk about something that's quietly destroying your potential. Something you probably don't even realize you're doing. Something that makes winning almost impossible. Comparison. You're comparing yourself to others constantly. Their success makes you feel behind. Their highlight reels make your everyday life feel inadequate. Their achievements make you question whether you're good enough. Social media has turned comparison into an addiction. You scroll through feeds seeing everyone's best moments, their victories, their picture-perfect lives, and somewhere deep inside you feel like you're losing, like you're not enough, like you're falling behind. But here's the truth that will set you free. You are not behind. You are not losing. You are on your own unique path, and comparing yourself to anyone else is completely meaningless. Think about it, logically. That person you're comparing yourself to, they started at a different place. They have different resources, different circumstances, different advantages, and different obstacles. They're running a completely different race than you are. Comparing yourself to them is like a fish comparing itself to a bird and feeling inadequate because it can't fly. It makes no sense, yet we do it every single day. And here's what's really happening when you compare. You're taking energy that should be invested in your growth and wasting it on feeling bad about where you are. You're taking focus that should be directed at your goals and scattering it across a dozen different directions. Every minute you spend comparing is a minute you're not building. Every hour you spend feeling inadequate is an hour you're not improving. Comparison is the thief of joy, but more importantly, it's the thief of progress. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn from others. I'm not saying you can't be inspired by people who are ahead of you. That's completely different. Inspiration says, if they can do it, I can too. Comparison says, they're doing it and I'm not, so I must be failing. See the difference? The people who win, the people who actually achieve extraordinary things, they focus on competing with only one person, themselves. They ask, am I better today than I was yesterday? Am I closer to my goals than I was last month? Am I growing? That's the only comparison that matters. You versus you. Today's version versus yesterday's version. This year's growth versus last year's stagnation. Here's a powerful practice. Create your own definition of success. Not society's definition, not your parents' definition, not Instagram's definition. Yours. What does winning actually mean to you? What does success look like in your life? Write it down. Be specific. And then measure yourself only against that standard, not against your high school friend who just bought a house, not against that influencer with 1 million followers, against your own vision, your own values, your own goals. When you stop comparing, something magical happens. You stop feeling behind, you stop feeling inadequate, and suddenly you have all this energy and focus that was being wasted, and you can redirect it toward actually winning. You'll also notice that your mental health improves dramatically.
because comparison breeds anxiety, depression, and dissatisfaction, but self-focus breeds confidence, purpose, and progress. Let me give you a practical exercise. For the next 7 days, I want you to practice what I call a comparison detox. Significantly reduce your social media usage. When you do use it, consciously catch yourself whenever comparison creeps in. Notice it, name it, and consciously redirect your focus back to your own journey. Replace scrolling time with building time. Replace comparison time with creation time. Watch what happens. Here's the ultimate truth. The only person you need to be better than is the person you were yesterday. That's it. That's the only competition that matters. Beat that person. Outwork that person. Outlast that person. And you'll win. Guaranteed. Stop looking sideways. Start looking forward. Your path is your path. Honor it, trust it, and focus all your energy on walking it with everything you've got.
Chapter 3. Building Your Foundation. All right, you're protecting your attention. You stopped comparing yourself to others. Now it's time to build. It's time to create the foundation that everything else will stand on. And that foundation starts with one critical question. Who are you, and who do you want to become? Most people never answer this question. They drift through life reacting to circumstances, following paths other people laid out for them, living according to expectations they never agreed to. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why they feel unfulfilled, why success seems so far away. Focusing on yourself until you win requires absolute clarity about who you are and where you're going. Without this clarity, you're just busy, you're just moving, but you're not progressing toward anything meaningful. So, let's get clear. Let's build your foundation. First, define your values. What actually matters to you? Not what should matter, not what matters to your parents or your friends. What matters to you? Is it freedom? Is it creativity? Is it security? Is it adventure? Is it making an impact? Write down your top 5 values. These are your non-negotiables. These are the principles that will guide every decision you make. When you're tempted to say yes to something that doesn't align with your values, you'll say no. When opportunities arise that resonate with your values, you'll say yes without hesitation. Second, clarify your vision. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years? What does your ideal life actually look like? And I'm not talking about vague wishes. I'm talking about specific, vivid, detailed vision. What time do you wake up in your ideal life? What kind of work are you doing? How does your body look and feel? What kind of relationships do you have? How much money are you making? Where do you live? How do you spend your days? Get specific. Write it down. The more detailed your vision, the more power it has to pull you forward. Your brain needs a target. Give it one. Third, identify your gaps. Now compare where you are to where you want to be. Be honest, be objective. This isn't about judgment, it's about assessment. What skills do you need to develop? What habits do you need to build? What knowledge do you need to acquire? What relationships do you need to cultivate? What limiting beliefs do you need to overcome? Make a list. This is your roadmap. These are the specific areas where you need to focus on yourself. Fourth, create your growth plan. Now that you know the gaps, you can create a plan to close them. This doesn't have to be complicated. Simple is usually better. For each major gap, identify one action you can take consistently. Want to get in shape? The action might be work out for 30 minutes every morning. Want to build a business? The action might be spend 2 hours every evening working on my business. Want to improve your relationships? The action might be have one meaningful conversation with someone I care about every day. The key is consistency. Small actions, repeated daily, create massive results over time. This is how you build an unshakable foundation. Next, establish your non-negotiables. These are the daily practices that keep you grounded, focused, and progressing. No matter what happens, no matter how busy you get, these things happen. Maybe it's morning meditation, maybe it's reading for 20 minutes, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's hitting the gym, maybe it's working on your side project. Whatever it is, make it non-negotiable. Successful people don't rely on motivation, they rely on discipline. They rely on systems, they rely on non-negotiables. On the days when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, your non-negotiables keep you moving forward. Next, design your environment. Your environment shapes you more than you realize. If you're surrounded by distractions, you'll be distracted. If you're surrounded by negativity, you'll be negative. If you're surrounded by mediocrity, you'll be mediocre. Take control of your environment. Create a workspace that inspires focus. Surround yourself with people who are also focused on growth. Fill your phone with educational content instead of mindless entertainment. Make your environment work for you, not against you. Here's what I want you to understand. Building this foundation is not optional. You cannot skip this step. You cannot wing it. You cannot just hope things work out. Winners build foundations. They get clear, they get organized, they get disciplined, and then they execute relentlessly on that foundation. This is where most people fail. They want the results, but they won't do the foundational work. They want to build a mansion, but they won't pour the concrete, and then they wonder why everything keeps collapsing. Don't be that person. Do the work. Build the foundation. It might take a few days, it might take a few weeks, but once it's built, everything else becomes easier. Everything else becomes possible.
Chapter 4. The Power of Solitude. Let me tell you about one of the most powerful tools for focusing on yourself, something that makes most people uncomfortable, something our modern world has trained us to avoid at all costs. Solitude. When was the last time you spent significant time alone? Not just physically alone, but mentally alone. No phone, no music, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. If you're like most people, the answer is probably never, or at least not in a very long time. We've become terrified of being alone with ourselves. We fill every moment with noise, with stimulation, with distraction. We reach for our phones the second we have a free moment. But here's what you need to know. Solitude is where transformation happens. Solitude is where you hear your own voice, where you connect with your authentic self, where you process your experiences, clarify your thoughts, and access your deepest wisdom. Every great thinker throughout history has understood the power of solitude. Every successful person I've ever studied has regular practices of being alone with themselves. It's not a coincidence. Solitude is where focus is born. In solitude, you can't hide from yourself. You can't distract yourself from uncomfortable truths. You have to face yourself, your choices, your patterns, your dreams, your fears. And yes, that's uncomfortable, but it's essential. Think about it this way. How can you focus on yourself if you never spend time with yourself? How can you know what you really want if you never get quiet enough to hear your own voice? How can you build self-awareness if you're constantly plugged into everyone else's energy? You can't. It's impossible. Solitude is where you develop the relationship with yourself that makes focusing on yourself natural instead of difficult. It's where you build trust with yourself. It's where you learn to like yourself. It's where you discover who you actually are beneath all the noise and expectations. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a hermit. I'm not saying you need to cut off all social connection. But I am saying you need regular, intentional time alone. Time where you're not consuming, time where you're not performing, time where you're just being. Here's how to practice powerful solitude. Start with 20 minutes a day. Find a quiet space. No phone, no computer, no book, no music. Just sit, just be. Let your thoughts come and go. Don't try to control them, just observe them. At first, this will feel strange. Your mind will race. You'll feel restless. You'll want to reach for distraction. That's normal. That's your addiction to stimulation trying to pull you back. Resist it. Sit through the discomfort. After a few days, something shifts. The noise in your mind starts to settle. You start to notice things you've been too distracted to see. Insights emerge. Clarity develops. You start to understand yourself better. Use solitude for reflection. Ask yourself powerful questions. What do I really want? What's working in my life? What's not working? What do I need to change? What am I avoiding? What am I afraid of? What am I proud of? Don't just think about these questions. Write down your answers. Journaling during solitude is one of the most powerful practices you can develop. It externalizes your thoughts. It creates clarity. It helps you process and make sense of your inner world. Use solitude for visualization. Spend time vividly imagining your ideal future. See yourself winning. See yourself achieving your goals. See yourself living the life you want. Make it real in your mind. This isn't just wishful thinking. This is mental rehearsal. This is programming your subconscious mind to move you toward your vision. Athletes do this before every competition. Successful people do this regularly. And now you will too. Use solitude for planning. Your best ideas won't come when you're busy and distracted. They'll come when you're quiet and focused. Use your alone time to think strategically about your goals. Plan your next moves. Solve problems creatively. Here's what you'll discover. The more time you spend in solitude, the more you'll crave it. It becomes something you look forward to. Something you protect because you realize that's where your power comes from. Solitude makes you less dependent on external validation. You stop needing constant reassurance from others because you've developed a strong relationship with yourself. You stop needing to be entertained every moment because you've learned to be comfortable with yourself. Solitude builds the inner strength that makes focusing on yourself possible. It's the practice that supports all the other practices. It's the foundation beneath the foundation. Make solitude sacred, protect it, practice it, and watch how it transforms everything else.
Chapter 5. Cutting out the noise. Now that you understand the power of solitude, let's talk about something related but different. Let's talk about all the noise in your life that's preventing you from focusing on yourself, and let's talk about how to eliminate it. Noise comes in many forms. It's the toxic friend who constantly drains your energy. It's the social media accounts that make you feel inadequate. It's the news cycle that floods you with anxiety. It's the people who doubt your dreams. It's the activities that consume your time but add no value to your life. Noise is anything that distracts you, depletes you, or derails you from your path. And most people's lives are full of it, overflowing with it. Here's a hard truth. You cannot focus on yourself while you're drowning in noise. You can't build while everyone's tearing down. You can't grow while toxic people are pulling you backward. You can't win while you're constantly engaging with things that make you feel like you're losing. So you have to make
cuts. You have to be ruthless about protecting your mental and emotional space. You have to audit your life and eliminate everything that's not serving your growth. Let's start with people. Look at your relationships honestly. Who lifts you up? Who drags you down? Who supports your growth? Who mocks your ambitions? I know this is uncomfortable, but you need to understand something crucial. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those people are negative, you'll become negative. If those people are lazy, you'll become lazy. If those people are focused and driven, you'll become focused and driven. You don't necessarily have to completely cut people off, but you do need to set boundaries. Reduce time with people who drain you. Increase time with people who inspire you. Be strategic about who has access to your energy. Next, media consumption. What are you feeding your mind? Are you watching news that makes you anxious? Following accounts that make you feel bad about yourself? Consuming content that entertains but doesn't educate? Here's a simple rule. If it doesn't make you smarter, stronger, or better, stop consuming it. Be ruthless. Your attention is too valuable to waste on garbage. Curate your social media feeds intentionally. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison or negativity. Follow people who inspire you, educate you, and align with where you want to go. Better yet, reduce your social media time dramatically and use that time for actual growth. Next, commitments. How many things are you committed to that don't actually matter? How many obligations are you carrying that drain your energy without contributing to your goals? Learn to say no. This is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to something that does. Every yes is a trade-off. Start declining invitations that don't serve you. Stop volunteering for things you don't care about. Quit the activities that feel like obligations rather than opportunities. Protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Next, physical environment. Look around your space. Is it cluttered? Is it chaotic? Is it filled with reminders of an old version of yourself? Your environment affects your mental state more than you realize. Clean it up. Organize it. Make it a space that supports focus and productivity. Remove distractions. Add inspiration. This isn't just about aesthetics. This is about creating an environment that reinforces the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Here's what happens when you cut out the noise. Suddenly, you have space. Space to think, space to create, space to grow, space to focus on what actually matters. It's like you've been trying to hear yourself think in a room full of screaming people, and suddenly everyone's gone, and you can finally hear your own voice. But I'll warn you, cutting out noise is hard. People will be offended when you set boundaries. You'll feel guilty when you decline invitations. You'll feel FOMO when you reduce your social media usage. You'll feel uncomfortable when you quit activities you've been doing for years. Do it anyway. The discomfort is temporary, but the benefits are permanent. You're not being selfish, you're being strategic. You're choosing yourself, and that's not just okay, it's necessary. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't help others from a place of depletion. You can't make a difference in the world if you're drowning in noise and distraction. Cut the noise, protect your peace, focus on yourself. That's how you win. Chapter 6. The Investment Mindset. Let's shift gears and talk about something that separates people who win from people who stay stuck. It's called the investment mindset. Most people approach life with a consumption mindset. They consume entertainment, they consume food, they consume products, they consume experiences. Everything is about immediate gratification. Everything is about what feels good right now. But winners think differently. Winners have an investment mindset. They ask, what can I invest in today that will pay dividends tomorrow? They're willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term growth. And the most important investment you can make? Yourself. Think about it. You invest money hoping it will grow. But what about investing in your skills, your knowledge, your health, your mindset? Those investments have unlimited potential returns. Every hour you spend learning a valuable skill is an investment. Every workout is an investment. Every book you read is an investment. Every uncomfortable conversation you have to improve a relationship is an investment. You are investing in the most important asset you'll ever own, you. Here's what most people miss. You can't focus on yourself without investing in yourself. They're inseparable. Focusing on yourself means recognizing that you're worth the investment, that your growth matters, that your potential deserves to be developed. So let's talk about the key areas where you need to be investing in yourself. First, education. Never stop learning, ever. The moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying intellectually. Read books, take courses, watch educational content, learn from mentors, study people who've achieved what you want to achieve. Make learning a daily non-negotiable. And I'm not just talking about formal education. I'm talking about intentional, strategic learning that moves you toward your goals. If you want to build a business, study business. If you want to improve your relationships, study communication and psychology. If you want to get wealthy, study wealth creation. Invest money in your education if you need to. A course, a book, a workshop that teaches you something valuable is never an expense. It's an investment with compound returns. Second, health. Your body is the vehicle for everything else. If your health fails, nothing else matters. Invest in exercise, invest in good nutrition, invest in sleep, invest in stress management. These aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They're the foundation of your ability to perform, create, and win. I know it takes time, I know it takes effort, but what's the alternative? Declining health, low energy, inability to pursue your dreams? That's not acceptable. Make your health a priority. Schedule your workouts like business meetings. Plan your meals like important projects. Protect your sleep like it's sacred, because it is. Third, skills. What are you really good at? And more importantly, what do you need to become really good at to achieve your goals? Identify the critical skills for your success and develop them relentlessly. If you need to become a better communicator, practice communication. If you need to learn marketing, study marketing. If you need technical skills, acquire them. Don't wait for someone to train you. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Invest in yourself. Teach yourself. Practice. Fail. Improve. Practice more. That's how skills are built. Fourth, mindset. This might be the most important investment of all. Your mindset determines everything. Invest in developing a growth mindset. Read books on psychology and personal development. Work with a coach or therapist if needed. Journal regularly to understand your thought patterns. Practice meditation to strengthen your mental discipline. Your beliefs about yourself and what's possible either propel you forward or hold you back. Invest in upgrading those beliefs. Fifth, network. While you're focusing on yourself, you still need to build meaningful relationships with people who can support your growth. Invest in developing relationships with mentors, peers, and collaborators who are on a similar path. Attend events, join communities, reach out to people you admire, build genuine connections. But do this strategically. You're not networking just to network. You're building relationships with people who inspire you, challenge you, and can help you grow. Now, here's the critical shift. Stop spending and start investing. Every time you're about to spend money, ask, is this an investment or just consumption? Every time you're about to spend time, ask the same question. That expensive dinner out? Consumption. That online course that teaches you a valuable skill? Investment. That weekend binge-watching shows? Consumption. That weekend attending a workshop? Investment. I'm not saying never consume, I'm saying be intentional about it and make sure the majority of your resources are going toward investments, not consumption. Here's what happens when you develop an investment mindset. You start seeing returns everywhere. The skills you develop open new opportunities. The health you build gives you more energy. The knowledge you acquire makes you more valuable. The mindset you cultivate makes you unstoppable. And all of those returns compound over time. That's the magic. Small investments made consistently create massive results. Focus on yourself by investing in yourself. Make yourself your best investment, because you are. There is no better use of your time, money, and energy than developing yourself into the person who can achieve everything you want. Start today. Start now. Invest in yourself like your future depends on it, because it does.
Chapter 7. Staying committed when it gets hard. All right, let's be real. Everything we've talked about sounds great. Focusing on yourself, cutting out noise, investing in your growth, it all makes perfect sense. But then life happens, and focusing on yourself suddenly gets really hard. You start strong, you're motivated, you're disciplined, you're making progress, and then something changes. Maybe you hit a plateau. Maybe you face an unexpected setback. Maybe people start criticizing your choices. Maybe you just get tired. And in that moment, you face a critical decision. Do you stay committed or do you quit? This is where most people fail. Not because they don't know what to do, not because they lack ability, but because when it gets hard, they don't stay committed. Let me tell you something important. The path to winning is not a straight line. It's full of obstacles, setbacks, failures, and challenges. And if you're not prepared for that, you'll quit the first time things get difficult. So let's talk about how to stay committed when everything in you wants to quit. First, remember your why. When you're exhausted and discouraged, you need something deeper than motivation to keep you going. You need purpose. Why did you start this journey? What's the pain you're trying to escape? What's the future you're trying to create? Go back to those reasons when things get hard. Write them down. Read them every morning. Let them fuel you when motivation fades. Second, embrace the discomfort. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. Growth is uncomfortable, always. It requires you to do things you don't want to do, to push past limits, to face fears, to persist when you're tired. Stop waiting for it to get easy. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Accept that discomfort is part of the process. Learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. The people who win aren't the ones who never feel like quitting. They're the ones who keep going even when they do. Third, celebrate small wins. When you're focused on a big goal, it's easy to miss the progress you're making. Don't do that. Acknowledge every step forward. Celebrate every small victory. Did you work out today even though you didn't want to? That's a win. Did you stay focused for 2 hours? That's a win. Did you choose learning over mindless scrolling? That's a win. These small wins accumulate. They build momentum. They remind you that you're making progress even when the big goal still feels far away.